Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel T-Spot. In this video, we explain breakdown and gave review of Tulsa King episode 9 titled Happy Trails. The season 1 finale starts with a flashback to 1997. Chicky, Vince, and Armand are at an abandoned apartment building in Brooklyn, where Chicky and Vince are torturing Ripple, who they think crossed them. Armand, in the meantime, believes they're going too far because they break the poor guy's leg and even brand his face. That is why Armand calls Dwight, and once he gets there, he puts a stop to this clown fiesta. However, the torch they use to heat up the branding metal spreads fire around the building, and they all have to run away. The problem is, Chicky can't find the handcuff keys, so Dwight tries to shoot the cuffs, but it's made of chromium steel so it doesn't break. And since there's no way to get Ripple out in time, Dwight decides to shoot him instead of letting him burn to death. The others have left by this point, and Dwight is the last one to get out. And outside the building, he is greeted by cops and is arrested. That's in line with the main theme of this episode, which is no good deed goes unpunished. And Dwight spends 25 years in prison for Chicky and wins his mistake and for being merciful toward Ripple. Despite this sacrifice, the head of the family, Pete, still tried to have Dwight killed in prison, and the new head of the family, Pete's son Chicky, has a similar idea in mind in the present as he makes his way to Tulsa to whack Dwight. The general was in chains for a quarter of a decade, or a dumb mess like Chicky, and yet Chicky is still an ungrateful piece of crap. Talking of prison and getting arrested, Dwight is held at the police station overnight following the incident outside the Mayo. So we are back to the present, and Bodie sends a lawyer for Dwight, and because he's not being charged, he's able to get out. Dwight immediately visits Stacy to see how she's doing, and she's fine, considering the circumstances. Dwight asserts that he's going to go after Waltrip, but Stacy believes he must be in the wind now with how much money he's got. So Stacy mentions that the ATF has Waltrip's account information, which will be important later on in the episode. For now, though, Stacy is worried that she's going to lose her job because her tie to Dwight will be exposed, and Dwight says he's going to make it up to her somehow, and that will turn out to be a costly mistake. The general is rolling with two of Mitch's friends he hired in episode 8, and another duo has joined the team, thanks to Jimmy, which is smart because Waltrip isn't going anywhere and he's going to come after Dwight. Waltrip is completely unhinged. He shoots one of his men because he dared question his strategy. He insists that they're going to stick around despite the ATF and the FBI's presence in town in order to go after Dwight, who he describes as a parasite that they must cut out. Back at the Mayo, Armand informs Dwight that Chicky has arrived in Tulsa, and Dwight says he would understand it if Armand wanted to lay low for a while. Armand talks about how he ran away from New York because he was too scared to face Chicky, and he doesn't want to feel like a coward anymore, which is why he's sticking around, even if it costs him his marriage. Later on in the episode, Dwight has a similar heart-butt moment with Tyson. The general says he's sorry for getting Tyson involved in all of this, but the young lad doesn't think Dwight has anything to be sorry about. He believes that Dwight has allowed him to forge his own identity, make his own choices, stand up for what he believes in, take what he wants, and look after his friends. That's the life he wants to live, and Dwight has shown him it's possible, so he is grateful. Back to this tricky matter. Dwight and company surprise Chicky and his entourage at their hotel. Dwight tells Chicky to pack his stuff, get on a friggin' plane, and stay the frig out of his town. So Dwight cuts ties with the Inheritsits family, and he gives Goody 3 seconds to abandon Chicky and stay here in Tulsa. I lost it when Dwight pointed at Chicky and said, "Look at him friggin' Kojak." I laughed for like 10 seconds straight because Dwight's demeanor was hilarious, but at the same time, it was imperious. He made it clear that he had the upper hand. His men surrounded the area and gave Chicken no choice but to leave. After Dwight takes care of that problem, he gives a great motivational speech to his associates at the bar and welcomes Goody to the club. Dwight gives everyone 2 choices. They either get scared and give up, or they say frig it and they barrel through it. He argues that if they take the second option and come out on the other side, they'll be stronger than they ever thought was possible. Everybody sticks around. The next night, Waltrip and his goons attack the bar. Dwight and company are ready. They even have a tripwire grenade set up, which takes out some bikers when they first enter the bar. And it's looking good until Armand and Tyson get shot. The bullets don't hit any vital organs, but Tyson is in a bad spot, and he could be overrun soon, which is why Dwight flanks the bikers. He takes out two of them and reaches Tyson to check his wound. And that's when another biker almost gets to them and kills them. Luckily, though, Grace comes to their rescue. She takes out multiple targets, leaving only Waltrip to deal with. Dwight jumps at Waltrip. They go back and forth, and the general gets the better of him. Dwight pushes Waltrip's head against a horn trophy, and he finishes the job with a bullet to the head. That was a great way to end this Black McAdam storyline. The Battle of the Bar was entertaining to watch, and Dwight's mean look at Waltrip as he killed him was hauntingly realistic. Then we have a 3-month time jump. Tina and her kids have come to Tulsa, and they're riding Pilot. Tina even calls Dwight Dad for the first time in a long time, and Dwight is just incredibly happy. They reopen the bar, which is now also a casino, and Dwight and Tina have a father-daughter dance. But Dwight is asked to go outside. As I said before, the theme here is that no good deed goes unpunished. And Dwight realizes that once he steps outside because Stacy and the feds arrest him. But why? Well, because earlier on in the episode, Bodie hacked into and gained access to Waltrip's accounts containing more than $8 million. Hence the timing of the attack on the bar. And then Dwight gifted Stacy $1 million because he promised that he would make it up to her. And he thought she was done with the ATF, so he tried to set her up with $1 million. However, the ATF agrees not to prosecute Stacy, and they agree to reinstate her in 6 months in exchange for information that will bring down Dwight. She gives them the USB stick gifted to her by Dwight, which contains the account information, and Dwight is arrested for the attempted bribery of a federal agent. This is a heartbreaking moment for 2 reasons. Firstly, Dwight felt guilty for upending Stacy's life, even though she's a grown-ass woman that made her own choices. She didn't have to protect Dwight from the inside. She chose to do that. So Dwight wasn't actually at fault at all, but he still tried to make it up to her by giving her that USB drive. And secondly, Tina is having to watch his father get taken away yet again, just when things were starting to get better between them. She wants her father to tell her this isn't happening again, but all he can say is that he is sorry. If convicted, Dwight is facing up to 15 years in prison. And that is how Season 1 of Tulsa King concludes. Over the course of Season 1, I've regularly talked about my antipathy towards Stacy, and I feel entirely justified in my analysis. After watching this episode, I get that she was facing prosecution if she didn't turn on Dwight. But he wasn't the one who put her in this situation. It was Stacy herself. Now, that's why I think she's an excellently written character, because her traits sum up the freaked-up organization that she's a part of. The way she pushed Roxy and caused her death at the hands of Waltrip, the way she betrayed Dwight and threw him to the walls, her lack of accountability, her self-centered worldview, and so on. She's like a horse with blinkers on, and I think that is a good description of the ATF. They don't actually realize that they're the bad guy, so I think that was a fitting end to the season. It was a harsh but necessary lesson for Dwight, and overall, the finale was simply exquisite. Tyson and Armin's hardwood moments encapsulated one of the best things about the show, which is the strength of its side characters. Dwight's dismissal of Chicky wasn't something I saw coming, but it did make perfect sense. I also liked the fact that Goody joined his crew, and Walter's rather rash attack on the bar might seem absurd at first, but we've seen him taking a lot of drugs and constantly drinking, and losing his money was the last straw. Though even the attack on the bar, which seems ill-advised at first, was in line with Waltrip's recently careless attitude. One of the most important marks of a good show for me is how much you look forward to the next episode and every single week. Tulsa King made me excited to see the next one. They didn't do that by making this a slow burner. No, they often resolved conflicts very quickly and continued to add new ones. They never halted the plot progress, which is another mark of a good show. And despite what you could call a frantic pace, they also reserved a lot of time for character growth. Dwight's reconnecting with his family, Tyson spoke on the road storyline with his family, Chicken's rebellion against his father. Armin's personal life, Roxy's informants revealed and how she was used, and some other stuff I can't really remember because the season was that packed, though this is not just a one-dimensional show. I still can't believe we got through this much material with 35 to 40 minutes long episodes, and I think that's an accomplishment that deserves praise nowadays. There are a lot of shows out there that stretch a story that should only take 2 to 3 hours into a 10-episode season with 60 minutes installments, and those usually bore me if they're not very good, so I'm glad that Tulsa King managed to avoid that problem. With all that said, I'm running out of time now, and it's time to reveal my rating. You can see my scale on the left-hand side. I will give Tulsa King Season 1 a 9 out of 10. Tell me your rating in the comments as well as your thoughts on the season finale. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.